Welcome back to Studio 5. My next guest is a big believer that happy, healthy relationships happen when we set strong personal boundaries. It's a concept she says can help us make meaningful connections with the people we love most in our lives. Therapist Dr. Julie Hanks is joining me with boundary setting strategies to improve our relationships. And I have to say, I love your passion toward this topic. It's something that you've really tapped into throughout the years as your work as a therapist.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main issues that women come in to see me for, is like, how do I advocate for myself? How do I say this is what I want and what I don't want? Because we're socialized to care for other people and to often put their needs before ours, and we need to include ourselves in that circle.
So help us make the connection then. We set strong boundaries ourselves. How does that improve our relationships?
Right. So the biggest fear is that boundaries will hurt our relationships, right? That's the #1 fear.
It will put people away. I'm building this fence.
Right. But the irony is that the more we know ourselves and we can say, this is me, this is what I think, feel, want, and need, then it allows me to be closer to you, because I'm not afraid of being engulfed by you and your thoughts and feelings, or I don't have to stay away to maintain my sense of self. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So the stronger we are as individuals, the more deeply we can connect with others. And it takes a while for people to really get that. But think about it in your own life, like the times when you feel confident and you know yourself, you can say, no, I'm not okay with that. And you can express it in a way that doesn't hurt the relationship. It actually allows someone to know you.
There's a tie here to another component of therapy that women struggle with, and that is assertiveness.
Yeah.
Women have a hard time being assertive. What's your take on that?
Yeah, again, it's the same kind of thing. We are socialized to be nice, to be kind, to put other people's needs first.
When you say socialized, as in we're brought up that way, or isn't it in us a little bit too?
You know, it's both, I think, and it's not a bad thing. It's only a problem when we take ourselves out of the equation, right? So we need to include ourselves in the people that we love and care for.
There are some skills, you say, that can help women do this more effectively. And step #1 is kind of reviewing past patterns, what you've done in the past that has brought you to now.
So it's actually, understanding your style. In our families, we learn how to be a person. We learn how to communicate, how to express emotions or not express emotions. And so understanding what we're bringing to the current situation is really important. So if I know my family tends to be really, angry and explosive, and that's just kind of the norm, like, oh, get over here, then I'm going to need to watch that if I'm at work, because that's not going to work. That's not going to come over very well.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. So patterns, behaviors.
Patterns and behaviors, knowing what you're bringing to the current situation is really important, and I call that self-reflection. So being aware of those patterns and how that impacts us currently.
So the next step is self-awareness. How is that different than self-reflection?
So self-awareness I define as, in this situation, what do I think, feel, want, and need? So it's right now. So self-reflection is about reflecting on the past and bringing that in. And self-awareness is right now. So say, a woman her boss keeps bothering her on the weekend, and that's not part of her job description, and so she's like, okay, I feel resentful. I think that this is inappropriate. I want to set a boundary to not contact me on the weekend, and I think I'm going to do that, on Monday. I'll sit down with. So that helps us address whatever boundary needs to be
What
asserted.
if we, as we're doing that little, assessment, what if we feel the emotions kind of bubbling up to the surface and we feel ourselves flaring a little bit, so to speak? What's the key to taking it down and calming ourselves?
Yeah, so that's the third skill of assertiveness, is self-soothing. So when we are in intense situations, we either turn our emotions up or turn them way down.
And neither is helpful, I imagine.
No, somewhere in the middle. Well, they're all helpful in different situations, right? Like, you want to turn it up if someone's, stealing your baby, like, get over, right? So it's always, they're situationally appropriate, but in general, we want to find the middle ground, right? So some people turn down their emotions so much that they're detached, and that's hard to communicate boundaries when you're just like, whatever. And then if you're too, overwhelmed and out of control, then people are going to shut down.
So as far as communication goes, we have to learn to ride in the middle.
Right. Okay, so what do we tend to turn it up or turn it down? And then how do we find that middle ground and calm ourselves so we can communicate effectively?
And that communication is the next step to be able to self-express what we want.
So self-expression is the words and the action to back it up. So we think about assertiveness or setting boundaries as just words, but it's more than that. It might be hanging up the phone when someone is verbally abusing, when a family member's, verbally abusing you. It might be walking out of a date when you. So taking action is assertiveness too. It's not just saying the words.
And the result, you say in the end, growth. Growth in your relationships, personal growth.
Right, and the point of relationships is to grow. That is how we grow as human beings. And in our relationships, we can expand ourselves to incorporate other people's points of view and develop empathy and I can see what it's like for you. And we can tolerate differences and still remain connected and growing in our relationships.
Great advice, Julie. There's a reason why Julie is so excited about this topic, and we are excited for her. I have in my hot little hands an invitation to what?
Oh, tonight. So my newest book is released today in stores, The Assertiveness Guide for Women.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm having a book party tonight at Barnes & Noble in Sandy, Southtown Mall, 7 to 9, and everybody's invited. It's just free. It's going to be fun. Treats. First 10 people get a free book.
Awesome.
So yeah, and we'll do an author Q&A, some giveaways. It's going to be a great time.
I can't imagine what this must feel like for you, because here behind the scenes, we know you've been working on this and pouring your heart and soul and time and late nights into this book. Who do you think this book will serve and be good for?
All women. All ages. I know some people who are like, my teen daughter needs to read this, my 80-year-old mother needs to read it. It is for all women because, as you know, I'm passionate about helping women find their voice and using it in their lives and in the world to make it a better place.
The title is The Assertiveness Guide for Women. We'll post the event information for you on our Studio 5 Facebook page so you can be sure and have that personal invite. Congratulations again, Julie.
Thank you, Brooke.
We'll be right back.